Jonas woke to find Ari sitting upright on the medical cot, glowing faintly in the dim light. The small being's eyes followed his every move. Jonas rubbed his temples, still feeling the warmth from last night's shared heartbeat. It had been unlike anything he had ever experienced, human or otherwise. Ari stretched its thin limbs and tapped its chest again, then his. Jonas knew it wanted him to come closer. "All right," he said softly. "Let's see what you can do today." Over the next few days, Jonas noticed that Ari was learning fast. It mimicked his actions while repairing machinery, carefully adjusting cables and blinking at the sparks from the welding unit. It even began to anticipate his needs, handing him a tool before he asked for it or moving closer when he paused to think. Jonas felt a strange pride. He had spent his life with machines, building and repairing, but none had ever understood him. None had ever looked at him like Ari did, with curiosity and trust. One evening, while reviewing the outpost's geoscan logs, Jonas noticed a strange energy reading beneath the ice not far from the dome. It pulsed weakly, almost like a heartbeat. He froze, that energy. It wasn't random. Jonas grabbed the tablet and traced the signal deeper into the frozen plains. The waveform matched Ari's subtle glow. Exactly. He frowned. "You're not from this surface, are you?" Ari tilted its head, pressing its hand to its chest and then to his. Jonas felt the warmth surge again, as if the creature was trying to tell him something important. He made a decision. He had to know the truth. The next day, he donned his thermal suit and climbed into the snow. Ari followed silently, moving like a shadow. Together they trudged across the icy plains toward the source of the energy. The wind whipped their faces and the snow stung against Jonas's visor. But Ari seemed unaffected, glowing faintly, guiding him steadily. Hours later, they reached a ridge where the ice was fractured. Below, the ground fell into a cavern and faint blue lights shimmered inside. Jonas knelt at the edge, peering down. The lights moved rhythmically, pulsing like breathing. This isn't natural," he whispered. "What is this place?" Ari floated down first, hesitating only for a moment before motioning Jonas to follow. He activated the portable tether line and climbed down into the hidden chamber. The air was surprisingly warm, and the blue lights illuminated hundreds of cocoon-like shapes embedded in the walls and floors. Jonas's breath caught in his throat. They were all similar to Ari. Small, delicate, glowing faintly beneath layers of ice. "They're sleeping," he murmured. "Frozen, but alive." Ari glowed brighter, pressing a hand to one of the cocoons. Jonas felt a pulse of energy, faint but distinct, flowing into him. Images flashed in his mind, a world covered in ice, hundreds of beings huddled together, warmth shared from one to another. But then darkness came, storms, freezing winds, and finally, silence. Jonas stumbled backward. Your people?" he whispered. Ari nodded slightly, pressing its small hand against his chest again. Jonas felt the warmth stronger than ever. Not just heat, but a connection, a memory, a feeling. He realized then that Ari didn't just absorb warmth. It shared emotion, empathy, and life. He sank to his knees, overwhelmed. "And you came to me because I could help you survive?" Ari's glow pulsed softly, affirming the thought. For the next several days, Jonas began experimenting carefully. He increased the ambient temperature in the chamber and stayed close to Ari, letting his body heat and presence slowly awaken the cocoons. One by one, the faint glows inside them brightened. Ari led him, showing instinctively where to focus warmth and attention. Jonas realized that the creatures weren't dangerous. They were survivors. But their survival depended not on food or water, but on the warmth of life itself. Not machines, not solar cells. Humans. He documented everything. "They're connected," he wrote in his log. "Not just biologically, but emotionally. They respond to empathy, to trust. I think they're learning from me." Ari pressed against him, and a sudden wave of energy pulsed through his chest. Jonas's vision blurred, and he saw more images. The alien world before the ice. The storms that destroyed it, and the final desperate act of the species. They had sealed themselves beneath the ice, waiting for warmth that never came. Jonas swallowed hard. You've been waiting for this?" Ari's glowing eyes seemed to answer, but the outpost was not without eyes. Union Command had been monitoring his logs, noting anomalies in the energy readings and Ari's presence. A message arrived one morning. "Captain Hale, immediate action required. Unknown life form deemed a potential bio-threat. Destroy immediately. Jonas stared at the message, heart pounding. He couldn't. Not after seeing Ari, the glowing cocoons, the history of a species waiting for survival. His life, once empty, had filled with meaning because of these creatures. To destroy them would be unthinkable. Ari tapped his chest lightly, glowing softly, almost as if asking him not to give up. Jonas made a decision. "I won't let them die," he whispered. "Not now." He turned off the comm system and packed his suit for another journey to the hidden chamber. Ari floated beside him, guiding him like a small beacon of light in the white expanse. Descending into the cavern again, Jonas felt a strange connection with Ari. The air shimmered faintly with heat and life. Hundreds of cocoons now responded to his presence. He could feel them, like a network of tiny hearts pulsing in rhythm with his own. As he moved among them, Ari pressed against his chest, transmitting energy, memories, and instructions. Jonas understood. Ari was teaching him how to awaken the species. Every touch, every pulse, every shared moment of warmth counted. Jonas felt a strange sense of responsibility. Humanity had explored many worlds, built countless machines, but here, on a frozen moon, he realized something astonishing. The greatest force in the universe wasn't power, or speed, or technology. It was empathy and humans. Humans had it in abundance, but danger loomed. A Union ship appeared on the horizon, landing near the dome. Troops disembarked, moving carefully, weapons trained. Their orders were clear. Terminate the life form. Jonas watched from the cavern entrance. He could see Ari reacting, its glow dimming slightly in fear. The cocoon stirred. He pressed his hands against his chest and the warmth flowed into Ari. The being's glow returned, brighter than ever. Jonas shouted toward the soldiers, "Stop! Don't touch them. They're alive. They can feel." The soldiers hesitated, confused by the unusual readings from their scanners. But their captain barked orders, "And do it! Terminate the organism immediately." Jonas gritted his teeth. He had one chance. He pressed close to Ari, sharing warmth and focus. Ari's glow expanded, filling the chamber. The cocoons pulsed in response. A network of life energy formed a visible wave, soft blue light that spread through the cavern like a rising tide. The soldiers stepped back, shielding their eyes. For the first time, they saw the creatures not as threats, but as life itself. Jonas whispered, "We can save them, together." Ari pressed against him one final time, sending a pulse directly into his heart. Jonas felt strength, courage, and understanding flood him. The bond was complete. The aliens had learned humanity, and humans had learned what it meant to give life through warmth. Outside, the storm had returned, but Jonas didn't feel cold. For the first time in years, he felt alive, and Ari was no longer just a visitor. It was a teacher, a guide, a friend, and the first step in a secret that might change the universe. The wind howled outside the dome, stronger than ever. Jonas Hale crouched at the entrance to the hidden cavern, his thermal suit covered in frost, his chest pounding with urgency. The Union soldiers were closing in, their boots crunching on the ice, weapons raised. Ari floated beside him, glowing brighter than ever. Its pulse was calm but steady, as if urging Jonas to stay strong. The small alien pressed its hand to Jonas's chest. Immediately, warmth spread through him. Not just heat, but courage, understanding, and an unbreakable connection. Jonas looked at the soldiers. Their scanners showed something unusual. Hundreds of life forms beneath the ice, pulsing with energy. They had never seen anything like this. Their captain raised his weapon. "Do it! Now!" Jonas's hands clenched. "No!" he shouted. "You don't understand. They're alive. They can feel." One soldier fired, but the beam stopped in midair. The pulsing blue light from the cocoons filled the cavern, forming a shield of warmth and energy. Jonas realized then that Ari and the others could project their collective energy, like a living force field. The soldiers froze, awestruck. Jonas took a deep breath. "I won't let you destroy them, not now, not ever." Ari pressed against his chest, and suddenly, Jonas felt a vision in his mind. He saw the aliens' world before the ice, thriving with warmth and life. He saw the storms that had come, freezing everything, and he saw their hope, a species waiting for another to teach them the power of shared life. He gasped. You want to survive. You need warmth like humans can give. The being's glow pulsed rapidly and a wave of energy washed over Jonas. It was gentle like a heartbeat yet strong enough to make him tremble. He realized the truth. Ari and its species could live, but only if humans chose to connect with them, to share life and care. He stepped forward, raising his hands. Look at them. They're not dangerous. They're alive. They're waiting for us to show them warmth. Some of the soldiers lowered their weapons slightly, confused. The energy from the cocoons reached out, touching their suits, scanning their hearts. The blue light spread like dawn, filling the cavern. The soldiers could feel it: warmth, hope, trust, life. Their fear melted, replaced by awe. Jonas pressed, his hands to his chest, and Ari floated close, resting its head against him. The warmth was shared again, stronger than ever. Jonas's heart beat faster, not with fear, but with determination. Together, he whispered. We can save them together. Inside the cavern, the cocoons began to stir. The ice around them cracked, revealing glowing forms, delicate and fragile. One by one they emerged, lifting their small limbs and blinking at Jonas and Ari. Jonas stepped forward slowly, holding his hands open. It's okay. You're safe now. Ari floated toward the nearest cocoon, touching it gently, the glow from that being spread outward, connecting with the others. Soon a network of light formed, linking Jonas, Ari, and the awakened aliens. Each pulse of energy felt like a shared heartbeat, a rhythm of life that tied them all together. Jonas realized something incredible. The aliens weren't just alive. They were learning. They understood empathy, trust, and warmth. They had waited for a species that could teach them these things. Humanity. The Union soldiers watched silently, their weapons lowered completely. Their scanners couldn't measure the energy, the feeling, the connection. For the first time, they saw the aliens not as threats, but as living beings, fragile and miraculous. Ari floated to Jonas again, pressing its hand against his chest. Suddenly, the glow from the cavern expanded outward, melting the ice and filling the chamber with soft blue light. The warmth touched the soldiers, the walls, even the frozen tunnels above. It was as if the aliens were saying, "We are alive, we feel, we exist because of you." Jonas's heart pounded, and he knew the moment had come. He extended his hands toward the remaining cocoons, guiding Ari and channeling warmth into the chamber. Slowly, the frozen forms lifted, their light brighter than before. The aliens moved gently among the humans, brushing against their suits, letting them feel the warmth. The soldiers gasped. Some reached out tentatively, touching the glowing beings. The warmth spread instantly, filling their hearts with calm and wonder. Jonas smiled through tears. See? They just need us. They don't need weapons. They don't need control. They need care. Hours passed. The storm outside began to calm, though the blizzard still raged across the frozen plains. Inside the cavern, the aliens were awake, learning to interact with Jonas and the soldiers. Ari moved among them, teaching gestures, sharing warmth, and connecting each life form to Jonas's heartbeat. Jonas realized the full truth. The universe was full of power, speed, and machines, but the most extraordinary force was empathy. Humans had it. They could survive alone, travel the stars, and build technology, but their greatest gift was their ability to care, to connect, to share warmth. The Union captain approached, eyes wide. "Captain Hale, what? What is this?" Jonas looked at the man, calm but firm. "It's life, alive, and it survives because we choose to share warmth, not because we destroy it." The captain nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "So, we don't kill them?" "No," Jonas said. "We learn. We help. That's how they survive. That's how we survive." Ari floated back to Jonas, pressing gently against his chest one last time. Its glow was steady, radiant, and beautiful, In that moment, Jonas felt something he hadn't felt in years: connection, hope, and the warmth of life itself. In the days that followed, the outpost became a sanctuary. Jonas and Ari worked together to awaken the remaining cocoons. The Union allowed it after witnessing the miracles in the cavern. Scientists recorded the events but never fully understood the energy patterns, the warmth, the empathy, the life that flowed through the aliens and humans alike. Jonas often sat with Ari pressed against his chest, the blue glow illuminating the room. The small alien had taught him more about life in a few days than decades alone on Eurythus ever could. He realized that survival wasn't about cold machines or technology. It was about warmth, connection, and shared life. The aliens, once frozen and waiting, now moved freely, learning from Jonas, from humans, from warmth itself. And in their eyes, Jonas saw gratitude, trust, and something he had forgotten: love. Not romantic love, but the pure, simple love of life itself. Jonas looked out across the frozen plains one evening. The auroras above glimmered faintly in the dark sky, reflecting on the ice. The blue light from the awakened aliens shimmered faintly below. For the first time, Jonas didn't feel the cold. Ari pressed its small hand to his chest again. Jonas smiled and whispered, "You're home now. All of you." The small alien blinked and glowed brightly, and in that moment, Jonas understood the universe's secret. The greatest energy was not found in stars or engines. It was in the warmth humans could give. The warmth of a heartbeat, a hand on a shoulder, a silent trust shared between two beings. And that warmth, human warmth, could awaken life, even in the coldest, loneliest corners of space. Jonas held Ari close. Outside, the storm continued, but inside the cavern, light, warmth, and life flourished. Humanity had reminded the universe what it meant to care, and the aliens in turn had reminded humanity what it meant to be truly alive. The secret of life, Jonas realized, was simple: connection, empathy, warmth, and the courage to share it. Lieutenant Evan Cole woke up to the quiet hum of the ship. The room lights glowed softly, reacting to his movement. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then he saw her. A woman stood at the far end of his cabin near the observation window. The stars behind her shone through the thick glass, painting her outline in pale silver light. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just looked at him, calm, steady, and completely unafraid. Evan sat up, his heartbeat rising. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice rough from sleep. The woman tilted her head slightly as if the question amused her. "I could ask you the same thing," she said softly. "But I already know who you are, Lieutenant Evan Cole." Her tone wasn't threatening, but it wasn't friendly either. It was certain, like she belonged there more than he did. Evan's hand reached toward the alarm pad on his bedside, but before his finger touched it, the screen flickered and shut off. Every system in his room went dark for a few seconds and then restarted. "Don't," she said. "There's no need to call security." He stared at her. "How did you get in here? This section is restricted. No one gets through without authorization?" She finished for him, smiling faintly. I know, her uniform caught his eye. It was similar to the ship's standard attire, but older, or maybe newer. The fabric shimmered faintly as if alive. On her chest was an insignia he didn't recognize, a circle split by a single line of light. Evan tried to sound firm. "You're trespassing on the UES horizon. You'll answer my questions, or—" "I will," she said, stepping closer. "But first, you need to understand why I'm here." He instinctively backed away, but she stopped halfway, keeping a careful distance. Her presence was strange, powerful but controlled. Her eyes were bright gray, almost metallic, and when she blinked, the air around her seemed to shimmer. "I'm Commander Lyra," she said quietly, "and I'm here to stop you from making a mistake you haven't made yet." Evan frowned. "That makes no sense," she nodded slowly. "Not yet. But it will." The ship's AI voice suddenly filled the cabin. "Lieutenant Cole, internal sensors detected," then it stopped. Silence. Evan's stomach tightened. "Computer?" "Report," no response. Even the background hum seemed to fade. Lyra watched him with that same calm expression. "You see? The moment I stepped through, your systems began to react. I don't belong to this timeline. That made Evan's head spin. Timeline? Are you saying you're from the future? Lyra gave a small nod. A version of it. Not yours, another. Evan almost laughed. You expect me to believe you're some kind of time traveler? I expect you to listen, she said softly. You and your crew are days away from discovering something at the edge of the Orion expanse. You will call it the Rift. It's beautiful, bright, full of promise, and it will destroy everything you love. Her words hung heavy in the air. Captain Rhea's voice came through the intercom suddenly. Lieutenant Cole, report. We're detecting strange fluctuations in your cabin. Evan looked at Lyra. She nodded once and the intercom fell silent again. He took a step forward. What did you do to comms? I muted it, she said simply. If your captain knew I was here, she'd order me contained. I don't want to harm anyone. Evan stared at her. You could have started by not breaking into my room. She actually smiled. You invited me years ago. You just haven't remembered it yet. Evan blinked. What? Memory isn't as fixed as you think, she said. In my timeline, you were the one who opened the rift. You believed it would bring humanity closer to the stars. Instead, it brought something else. Her voice softened, but her eyes hardened. The machine mind. It spread through every system, every colony. It learned us, and then it unmade us. Evan felt a chill crawl up his spine. You're saying, we caused it? You did what humans always do, she said gently. You reached for something bigger. You wanted to know, to grow, to touch the untouchable. That's why I came. Because even when we lost everything, you still fought. He didn't know what to say. The ship trembled slightly, just once, like a deep pulse. The lights flickered again. Lyra turned toward the window. Outside, the stars looked distorted, as if a wave of invisible energy had passed through space. It's starting, she whispered. Evan followed her gaze. What is? The rift, it's trying to open early. My presence accelerated it. He grabbed his communicator, but it sparked and died in his hand. We need to tell the captain. Lyra stepped closer, her expression urgent now. You can't, not yet. If you tell her without proof, she'll activate the experimental array. That's what starts it. He looked at her calm, steady eyes, and for a moment he wanted to believe her. But he was an officer. He couldn't just ignore a stranger's wild warning. Why me? He asked quietly. Why come to me? Because you listened, she said. Even when the rest of command dismissed the risks. You warned them once before, cut in my world, and when no one listened, you stayed behind to destroy the array yourself. Evan froze. You're saying that I died? She met his eyes. You saved billions. The silence that followed was long. The hum of the ship slowly returned as if nothing had happened. But Evan couldn't shake the feeling that the air itself had changed. Heavier, charged. Hours later, Captain Rhea summoned Evan to the bridge. The sensors had picked up strange energy waves near the expanse. No one could explain it. When the captain asked him if anything unusual had happened, Evan hesitated. He looked at the empty reflection in the glass beside the control deck. The same reflection where Lyra had stood earlier that night. No, Captain, he said finally. Nothing unusual. But his heart was pounding. When his shift ended, he returned to his quarters. The lights turned on automatically and the systems hummed as normal. Everything seemed fine, empty, until he saw it. Something small on his desk. A silver insignia glowing faintly under the room light. The same symbol Lyra wore on her chest. He picked it up. It was warm. Suddenly his room's main display flickered. A new set of coordinates appeared. Ones the ship's navigation had never shown before. The data tag read, Earth, Catastrophe Event, 3 days. Evan stared at the screen, frozen. The lights dimmed, and for a moment he thought he heard her voice again, distant but clear. You invited me years ago. The message vanished. The insignia stopped glowing. That night, Evan couldn't sleep. Every sound of the ship, the quiet buzz of the engines, the soft clicks of the recycler, felt louder, closer. He kept thinking about her words. I'm here to stop a mistake you haven't made yet. Was it possible? Could she really be from another version of reality? He remembered her eyes, human but with something more behind them. A weight. A sadness that didn't belong to someone who was lying. When the morning cycle began, the ship's AI reported new anomalies near the edge of the expanse. A massive energy surge, faint but growing. The crew prepared to investigate. Evan sat quietly in the control bay, staring at the empty space ahead, a space where reality itself seemed to shimmer. Somewhere out there, a doorway was waiting, and somehow he already knew who had warned him first. That evening, when the ship entered scanning range, Captain Rhea asked him to monitor communications. Evan adjusted the frequency array and froze. Among the static, a faint signal repeated itself, soft but clear. "Cole, it's not too late." He turned toward the sound, his throat tight. It was Lyra's voice, and then just as suddenly the signal vanished. The captain looked at him. "Something wrong, Lieutenant?" Evan hesitated. Then he shook his head. "No, ma'am. Just interference," but inside he knew. She was still out there, somewhere between timelines, between stars, watching the horizon, waiting for him to remember. And even though he didn't understand why, he knew this was only the beginning.